Welcome back to Overlord Anime Review, episode number 14. And you're thinking, wait, Nick, there's no new episode of Overlord today. What? What's going on? Well, I'm reviewing the most recent book released. Actually, this book came out 2 months ago. That's released for light novels. I have reviewed the previous four, so even if this book probably will be adapted for this current season, so why not? We have Overlord Book 14, The Witch of Doom. Wonderful cover art by Soban. Now, simply put, this is a standalone book. And what exactly happens in this book per se? Well, there's various stuff happening here. We have Demiurge making it first time. He's played a role in the book since book 10. Yeah, he has barely played a role in these books at all. Shaltair appears briefly in the book. Kykodis appears in the book too. Victim is mentioned. One of the four guys, Gygadra, is not even mentioned in the book at all. Albedo plays a good supporting role, and Ainz in the book for a good lot of it. Unlike the last couple books, which seem focused on Ainz, where he's simply a supporting character in his own series. The story for this one is that, well, basically the plans are to simply eliminate the Rantel Kingdom. Yeah, so we had the return of the character Philip, who was last seen back in book 10, who appeared for one chapter of that book. And here he plays a very small role, and he is indirectly responsible for the events that happen to take up a good chunk of this book. Where he ends up stealing some supplies from the Nation of Darkness, which, it's the Sorcerer Kingdom. Yes, for some stupid reason, Yen refers to the Sorcerer Kingdom as Nation of Darkness. But aside from that one name change I still don't like, at least all the other characters are called by the correct names. Nobody is called by the incorrect name at all, which, thank you, Yen Press. I think maybe Yen Press has maybe got a lot of flack for the translation for this series, especially with the unnecessary name changes. Now, Momon, he himself briefly appears in the book. There is a few mentions in here by Pandora's actor. There's also talk in here of setting up an intelligence agency. Albedo is consideration. She also considers both her sisters, and they also consider her outside entity from Nosric to run this intelligence agency. And, well, you basically have a lot of, regular stuff. That's basically the first half of the book. And then, of course, basically, she is sent by Ainz to tell the king of the Riesa Kingdom that the Nation of Darkness officially declared war on the Riesa's kingdom. Yep. She is coming to tell that. And by the way, they refer to her as Prime Minister Albedo. Yes, they refer to her as that, despite the fact that's not really her title. Now, I'm not going to blame Yen Press for that. This is probably something they assume based upon her position, which her position is actually the one in charge of the Floor Guardians. Excuse me. So, calling her Prime Minister Albedo, in my opinion, is perfectly fine. I have no problem with Yen Press calling her that, because that essentially is her job for the Sorcerer Kingdom. So, by the way, and then we step the start of the official battle. Before we start, then of course they have Ainz go with his forces, and they do send a good chunk of the forces of Nosric itself, but they do keep some guardsmen around just in case. Now, they don't completely leave the whole tomb empty, per se. That would be kind of dumb. There's mention here of Demir's room, which I thought was quite nice. Albedo basically is seen at, well, not only Nosric itself, but also in Rantel. Well, in Ainz's office. Well, this has happened in the later part of the book where Ainz is in his bedroom, and Albedo basically says, "Call upon me if you need me." It happens basically toward the end of the book. So then we have Ainz having his first meeting with the second prince of the Riesa's kingdom. Now, the thing is, he has never met him before. He has probably heard of him, and probably read over reports. This actually is the first time he's ever met him. And he has a conversation possibly. The prince goes up by himself without his guard, but he does go with armor on, just be appropriate. He's not coming completely defenseless per se. He requests an audience with Ainz all go. And Ainz does not reject it. He basically requests a table and chairs made right away. And Albedo is basically preparing a table for them, which is quite nice, because she really wants to be Ainz's wife so badly. So they have a pretty good conversation out in the open where the process is surrendering, and he also asks him one question. Did one of your subordinates kill my brother? And he's like, yes. Good. I've been fearing that for quite a while. Basically, he confirms something that's apparently been in suspicion of his for quite a while. His brother was killed back in book 9, and it takes him to book 14 to finally confirm, yeah, it was one of basically Einsporn's. It was Lupus Regina who actually murdered him. Yep. So then he goes off, and then one of his men murders him in his tent. And men simply surrender there, but they massacre the rest of the army there. And they also have this list of like 12 nobles who are basically smart. We also have one of the Dark Heroes, pretty brief in this book, a guy named Reek. He eventually is offered a position with Ainz. He rejects it and gets killed. And of course, Renaer, knowing that her brother is gone, requests that the ceremonial religious items related to the Riesa Kingdom are taken from the vault and taken to an abandoned warehouse that was devastated by giant attack from the last book, and kept in a small basement and hidden for safekeeping. So she is not told to do this. It's basically, well, is told this by Klein do this, and Brain Unglass is in the book, and he, I'm not going to reveal exactly what happened with him in the book, but he does put in the book, which good job of keeping him there. Now, the king himself is killed in the book, so Renaer is the only one. She's with her brother now around, and her father gone too. She's technically the ruler of the Riesa Kingdom, though she ends up betraying them, which I'll get to more in a minute. So Klein, if you're wondering, does Klein eventually go to get the stuff sealed? Yeah, he does take care of it, no problem. He does not take the crown that's sitting on basically the current king's head. He takes the ceremonial stuff, put them all in a safe location. So after her father is killed, she basically surrenders, and of course Klein is fighting that he is killed, but later he gets resurrected, and basically Renaer informs him she's been trained with demon, and she's named a subordinate for Albedo, and Klein has basically made her lackey as well. Now, also the Blue Rose Knights, who play a role in this book, they are left on the run by the end of the conclusion of this book. The capital of the Riesa Kingdom is virtually destroyed. It's basically in ruins. Marquis de Raven is actually one of the very few noblemen to survive. He is one of a dozen people to survive. Well, one of like a dozen nobles to survive. And of course, he pledges all their loyalty. And he basically tells them, as long as you're loyal to me, nothing will happen to your lands or your families. He's like, okay. And he requests, none of this time. And he goes off. At least the very end of which I mentioned. So, this book is really good. Thoroughly enjoyable. Now, the Japanese translation of this book apparently was, well, we're at 500 freaking pages this book was. This book was almost 400 pages. I just started to finish this today. This book, I finished it over the course of like a few days, but it's a damn good book. I do recommend it, and, well, I give this book a 10 out of 10. I can't wait for the adaptation of this one. Though, I'm hoping they don't rush it. Yep. So yeah, that's episode review. Next episode is going to be a comic corner. Then, well, maybe I might do another comic corner, but I'm also going to do a case close today. Well, okay. Next video. Bye.